And it's almost as if you're resurrected as a whole new being. People who once knew you before, who never came on this journey with you, have no idea who you are. Find it very difficult to relate to you. They feel like there's something wrong with you, that you've had a mental breakdown, or something has shifted within you so much they cannot connect with you anymore because they have yet to go on their spiritual journey. But they feel as though you shouldn't have. And as you step into your new way of being, there is this calmness, as though you know something that so many others do not know. And it's the elixir that allows you to move between worlds, the known and the unknown, the matrix and the supernatural spiritual world. You move within. There's no line anymore. You are a shapeshifter. You can exist and move between worlds and accept that there are things that are unknown. And there must be a reason in the supernatural world. But this matrix itself is known. It's clear. There is a method and there is a goal. And once you see that, you have to make the decision if you want to be a part of that, or you want to be your soul creator for yourself, to be a conscious being. Because within the matrix, you cannot be. You cannot be a conscious being. The matrix doesn't allow for that. It requires your submission. It requires your ignorance. It requires your defense of it against others who are conscious. And while the journey may feel very lonely at first, once you have moved through it and you realize what is happening, the fear goes away, because you fully know that you are in control of what happens next. Because in a hero's journey, they're called a hero for a reason. The hero always wins. Good morning and welcome back. It's September the 19th. It's 7 in the morning. The sun is just rising. It's about 5 degrees, so it's super cool. I love it. Very fresh and crisp. So I posted Decoding the Matrix. And there had been a build-up to creating that video on my YouTube channel. If you're watching it here, or maybe you've seen little snippets on TikTok. And I built up to that point of making that video to help ease people into the conversation. Because I believe that most people who have been aware that they are on a spiritual journey have moved themselves into a space of deep critical thinking. Because that is part of, it's the ultimate goal of awakening, is to question, to be curious, to face challenges, learn things, and then implement those things. And ultimately, a spiritual journey is the hero's journey. If you're not familiar with the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell, and I could go into his whole biography, but for the purposes here, Joseph Campbell wrote a book, famous book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. And within his studies and learning and experiences, he identified that there is a monomythic story. So a single story within myths, within cultures around the globe, a common story. And there's 3 parts to this story. And you'll notice this within most movies, books, historical accounts of things. But there's 3 parts within each hero's journey. There's a departure, an initiation, and a return. Within those 3 steps, there are 12 other, well, he had 17, but they've been broken down to 12 other steps within those 3 sections. And you would identify so many movies, especially that you've seen. Star Wars is a fantastic example. It's good versus evil. And that ties back to our understanding of the Matrix and the stories that we live, which is the good versus evil, and identifying on which side we are. For people who are in this awakening experience, they would likely identify with good because they are being considerate. They are critically thinking. They are soulfully led. They are hoping for the success of others. They recognize the interconnectedness of all things and all beings, therefore wanting to do their part to support that end goal. They can see the damage that's being done and the injustice and the hardship and how power is perceived and is taken away by blinding those who are unaware that it even exists. And so as we contemplate that idea that we are within a monomythic event, it's much easier to identify what's coming next for us. What part of the journey are we on? And we're all at different stages.
In the first stage,
of
the
awakening
departure
and
stage,
experiences.
where every story begins,
So
the hero's normal life is shown.
you're not going to
in
fully
the
align with
world,
anyone.
The world where I believe the Matrix exists.
And that's ultimately your
This is before the adventure
desired
begins,
goal.
Before the
You
hero
don't
is
want
called
to just
to
be a
adventure when
one-size-fits-all,
something
which
happens
is what
that disrupts
the Matrix
the
wants.
hero's normal life.
You want to
calling them to
identify the
investigate.
uniqueness of each person, recognizing
Initially,
they're part
the
of a much
hero
bigger whole.
does not immediately heed this call. Could be out of fear, could be out of doubt, or possibly they're just overwhelmed with this situation.
Let's just listen to
This
the birds for
refusing the call to this adventure
as they wake up,
is followed up when they're
remind
met
ourselves
with a mentor,
of why it's so
someone
important
who has
that
tools,
we connect to our consciousness,
wisdom, offers
so that we're
information
able
and
to
resources that the
experience
hero didn't have before.
the energetic
making this
exchange
call to the
that we
adventure
receive
more
from being in
intriguing
nature,
and more possible. And with this
that
new
soulfully we
support
can
and
connect to this
guidance,
energy
this
signature.
being infused with information,
But if we allow our
the hero leaves their
minds
normal
to be
life, and
corrupted
they
and
cross that line
our energy
from the
fields to be
known matrix
impacted,
into the unknown
we
special
will lose
or
that
spiritual world.
perception. It will lack value. And so many people are already there because they're not even coming out to nature. They feel that the world that exists is the one that's being force-fed to them on their phones and their computers and their television. And that's just not the case. That's just not the case. And I'm here to prove that to you. I'm here to help you see and to perceive the world as having value and is worth saving. And the way that you do that is by recognizing that you hold the keys to that saving. You're a part of the bigger picture. You are necessary. Without you, this projection does not exist. In the hero's journey, the departure, it's recognizing the ordinary world. Well, the ordinary world as we would know it would be what we call the matrix, the systems and structures that dictate how we live our lives. That ordinary experience that's been normalized for us. You've crossed the threshold, and now you're faced with the initiation phase. So many tests and challenges and experiences, and you realize who is your enemy and who is your ally energetically, who is seeing things a little bit more like you and who is not. You generally face an event that really solidifies your experiences and pushes you into this deep introspection, into that innermost cave, as Joseph Campbell called it, that soulful place of isolation and introspection and self-reflection, all of these experiences that make you question everything that you are or who you thought you were going to be or who you've become. everything about yourself then becomes fair game. You really have to see things in a whole new way, because within the matrix, the ordinary known world, you never had time to think about it. But now, in this new environment, this unknown environment, spiritual, supernatural environment, special world, you have no choice. You must dig into these things, because that's your only way out of the cave. You can't go back to the known matrix and continue to exist as you were. You know too much now. You've seen. You can't unsee what you've seen. So you work through these ordeals, these events, these challenges. You make peace with yourself. You go to the dark places within you that have been condemned and shamed and separated, where cognitive dissonance was imposed upon you, making you question your very existence and the value of it. And after this unbelievably challenging period, there is the sense of relief. And once you have moved through this challenging experience, there's a reward. And in the Matrix, you would think that a reward would be money or a gift, something tangible, something that you could see or hear or smell or feel, and you might have pieces of that. But the ultimate reward is this sense of peace and contentment within yourself that you now have integrated an understanding that allows you to engage in the world much differently than you did before. Having this new sense within you and a new perspective, ultimately, a much more objective perspective of seeing everything that is going on in the known world. And there's so much left to explore in this unknown spiritual realm. And it feels much more cathartic in this environment. However, you still understand that that known world requires your presence. And you must go back. You can't just exist in this space and place and time. You need to go back. And that's the third phase. So you cross back over into the known world, into the matrix, which you likely were existing within the entire time, but on a different level, because now you recognize your soul transcends the matrix. The matrix. So you return back and you have a new level of understanding and awareness that allows you to be discerning, to recognize how systems and structures work. And it's almost as if you're resurrected as a whole new being. People who once knew you before, who never came on this journey with you, have no idea who you are, find it very difficult to relate to you. They feel like there's something wrong with you, that you've had a mental breakdown, or something has shifted within you so much, they cannot connect with you anymore because they have yet to go on their spiritual journey. But they feel as though you shouldn't have. And as you step into your new way of being, there is this calmness, as though you know something that so many others do not know. And it's the elixir that allows you to move between worlds, the known and the unknown, the matrix and the supernatural spiritual world. You move within. There's no line anymore. You are a shapeshifter. You can exist and move between worlds and accept that there are things that are unknown. And there must be a reason in the supernatural world. But this matrix itself is known. It's clear. There is a method and there is a goal. And once you see that, you have to make the decision if you want to be a part of that or you want to be your soul creator for yourself, to be a conscious being. Because within the matrix, you cannot be. You cannot be a conscious being. The matrix doesn't allow for that. It requires your submission. It requires your ignorance. It requires your defense of it against others who are conscious. And while the journey may feel very lonely at first, once you have moved through it and you realize what is happening, the fear goes away because you fully know that you are in control of what happens next. Because in a hero's journey, they're called a hero for a reason. The hero always wins. Where are you on the hero's journey? Have you crossed the threshold from the known to the unknown? Have you gone through the trials and tribulations? Have you realized who your allies and enemies are energetically? Who is helping to move you in a direction of peace and contentment, and who is trying to pull you back and hold you in place? Do you feel as though there is a greater self-awareness and understanding, that you have a more global perspective, more objective, that you're more discerning, that you're able to extricate yourself from situations that seek to keep you stuck, that seek to keep you blinded, powerless? And do you know how to navigate those systems and situations to move yourself in a place of being free-flowing? Have you crossed the threshold of returning home, returning back to the matrix with confidence, knowing how you can exist within it to change it, to create a new way of being? If you haven't considered this way of viewing your experiences, I recommend that you do so. It definitely helps to shift that sense of powerlessness into empowerment and confidence and conviction. have faith that you know what you're doing. And the tribe of others who also know what they're doing, they will feel and sense that and be drawn to you. And the collective consciousness, Christ consciousness, as so many people call it, that collective consciousness is an energy that is unstoppable. Until next time, everyone, stay safe and stay connected, and we'll see you really soon. Bye.